Hi Leo, welcome to your July 2018 love reading. It's Raina here, and the reason the cards are already laid out is because I've attempted this reading numerous times, especially earlier this morning when I was constantly clearing my throat, and I just didn't want that in the video, so I'm starting over again. I feel like everything is flowing better, so also this spread is a little bit different than the one I typically do. I changed it for this month. And the components are going to be pretty similar, but they are in different positions. So the focus, the catalyst, what is really kind of symbolizing July for you is the Moon card. So Leo, in terms of timing, there are a couple of things that I was thinking about with this Moon card. One of them is that there's going to be, this is an eclipse month in July. So there's going to be a solar eclipse or a powerful new moon on July 12th in Cancer. This is your 12th house, and of course we're kind of generalizing it. This is not for specific astrological charts. Whether you're a sun in Leo or Leo rising, this is not for your exact chart, but just in general, that will be your 12th house. And then there's going to be a lunar eclipse, a powerful full moon, on July 27th, and this is falling in your 7th house of committed partnership in the sign of Aquarius, which is your opposite sign. So if this has anything to do with the solar eclipse, this would be more of a kind of a new beginning that has something to do with karma. Karmic connections, for instance. Since this is a love reading, we would focus on any relationships that are happening that have that karmic significance for you, and maybe you are beginning that, the new moon or the solar eclipse is new beginnings. You're beginning something in that direction, and yet it's kind of hilarious to call it a beginning because this may be a relationship with somebody you've known for many lifetimes. I often wonder if people understand this concept, that perhaps you meet your soulmate when you're 50 years old or 60 or 70 or your twin flame, and you have been going about your business and your life for decades and decades, and then you meet that person. I think sometimes people assume that they meet their soulmate when they're 20 or even in their teens, and obviously, I can't prove this. I can't, say that I'm an expert in this, but I feel that we're capable of meeting a soulmate at any time in our lifetime. And it's all about the divine timing. There may be something that our souls worked on before this lifetime, so that we had to go through a number of experiences before we were allowed to reunite with our soulmate or a twin flame. And so if you're watching this and you're not 20 or 30 and you're thinking, well, soulmate, that's for young people, young adults, yeah, just keep an open mind about that. But then we have the lunar eclipse, and this is in the opposite sign, opposite house, so we're talking about the 7th house of committed partnership. Lunar eclipses can remove something from your life. Now, it's always kind of semantics when we talk about solar and lunar eclipses, bringing something in, taking something away, because the real constant is change. And whenever something is taken away, something naturally is formed in its wake. So, and just like when you start something new, you have to let go of something. So really, it doesn't matter too much about solar and lunar eclipses, ultimately, in terms of the change that they provide. That's the important takeaway. And so something to do with your relationship sector. When there is a lunar eclipse, because it is a full moon, it follows the same rules that a normal full moon follows. The sun is going to be in the opposing sign. So the sun is going to be in Leo at the same degree. It's almost at 5 degrees of of Aquarius, this lunar eclipse, and the sun is going to be at 4 whatever, almost 5 of degrees of the sun. Okay, so the sun is your first house, and with the sun in your first house, you're honoring yourself right now. And so this to me suggests that the Leo person is standing up for themselves or loving themselves. And sometimes it means loving yourself enough to see the truth about a person. The moon card can relate to how do you deceive yourself, Leo? What lies do you tell yourself to avoid having to take action? That has to do with a relationship that you know in your heart of hearts has kind of run out of steam. Or it could be downright destructive to you on a daily basis. And yet you just can't, you find that it's hard for you to leave. Sometimes it can be ego. You don't want people to think that you made a mistake, an error in judgment. I think about Whitney Houston, who was a Leo. And I think that's what happened to her. I think she didn't leave her relationship even when there were many signs that it was not good for her. And when she finally did, she had wasted so much time. But sometimes you may love somebody that's simply not bringing enough to your life, positive to your life. However, there can be an understanding of that other person with the moon in the 7th house. You could be understanding that person finally, emotionally. Maybe you have been too self-centered and you haven't really acknowledged that your partner has been going through some things. And maybe now it's dawning on you that you should have given them more benefit of the doubt or more sympathy. Perhaps you were kind of exasperated with them because they were, maybe they have an addiction. And that's something too. The moon can be about addictions too, or mental illness. And all of that can be kind of intertwined. So the moon in general can point to secrets coming out and lies being revealed, but also about the emotions being front and center. So maybe you really develop a sense of empathy for your partner. Maybe you're going to take your relationship to a deeper level. Perhaps you were thinking of getting married and you were thinking, you were having doubts, now you don't have doubts. Now you really want to do it. So it can really run the gamut. I don't like when people say lunar eclipse is automatically going to mean that something is taken away from you, because all it's doing is amplifying what the regular full moon is. And it is a change agent, I have to say. So the best way that we can handle these periods, that the eclipse cycles, is to not cling to the past. And I think fixed signs like Leo have a tendency to not want to change. So you, out of most signs, have to just learn how to let go and let God. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. Now, the past history that is kind of impacting this is the Three of Wands. You or another party may have been wanting to go in a different direction. And maybe things have been kind of grinding to a halt, feeling very what's a good word? Just not stimulating enough, not exciting. You want to bring the passion back into your life. Leos need that sense of life being bigger than just the mundane day-to-day existence. A lot of Leos get accused of being drama queens because of this desire for passion, but actually, when expressed in a balanced way, it can simply mean living life with a sense of zest for living, not just going through the motions of life. And if you were with somebody who was doing that, that may have been the final straw, that you just couldn't take it anymore. It can be also that there is a third party involved with the number 3. We always have to go there. And even with the Empress card that is on top of that, we're talking about the number 3 in the major arcana. And this is like what the spiritual lesson that you're working on right now in regards to this romantic situation. The Empress card is a card about motherhood and the divine feminine. I don't know if it's really the divine feminine or just it's the earth mother. So maybe it's more of this world. But let's say the female archetype. I think that's okay to say the divine feminine. And let's say you're a woman reading this. Wow, that would be really bizarre if you were reading this, if watching it. Let's say you're a female Leo. Now, Leo is a masculine sign. So, the feminine archetype of the mother archetype, Earth Mother archetype, is about embracing your femininity. There are some couple of wands cards which connect to fire energy. And with fire signs, that masculine energy is really about proving yourself in career, showing off your talents. But it's not about nurturing per se. It's not about motherhood. And it's about creativity though. But the Empress card is also associated with motherhood. And I think with female masculine signs, there's always this ambivalence about motherhood. Because just like there's ambivalence about getting into a relationship. Will I lose myself in this relationship? Can I always retain my autonomy? If I have a child, I'm going to be on call 24 hours a day. How can I possibly have freedom under those circumstances? Can you tell that I, as a Sagittarian, a female fire sign, have been thinking about this quite a bit? Well, that ship has sailed for me, I'm sure. But, and I haven't had any children. But I always thought about that. I always thought about, what about my freedom? And you may be thinking the same thing too, but you may be called to it. With the 3 of Wands, Leo, you may be at this time where you feel like your relationship is in a limbo state because you don't know where you stand. You're in the dark. You know, the Moon card could be you're not being told the truth about something, so you feel like you're kind of in the dark. But you may have a desire to become a mother, or if you're a man, you have a desire to become a father, and you want. But it's a desire not just to have a notch off your belt, but to really experience that nurturing a human being, and that there's no way that you can deny that. But remember that you want to build a firm foundation. You don't want to just pick somebody to have a child with simply because of your feelings that I don't know, desperation or lack consciousness. This might be the only person I could ever have a child with. I want to say too that the Moon card connects to creativity. So So does the Empress. It connects to Venus and the two signs ruled by Venus, Taurus and Libra. So with all this artistic energy, and the Three of Wands can be creative as well, you may just be in this place where that's what you're looking for in a mate. You want somebody who is also an artist, also who sees the world like you do. Leo people are inherently creative. And sometimes I wonder, because Leo makes a great leader, so they may tend to be at the helm of something, even if it's something financial, because they like to be a boss. But sometimes I wonder if they risk losing that creativity, and maybe even having a relationship with somebody who is very pragmatic, maybe an earth or a water sign. And you may feel like you need more playfulness in your life. The other thing too is, I have to say, because even the outcome card is the Chariot, there may be a Cancer individual who you are dealing with. The Moon card is supposed to connect to Pisces, but the Moon rules Cancer, and I did get the Chariot card, so sometimes that to me is confirmation that that is what the Moon refers to. So if there's a Cancer person, you may be kind of like torn between the dependability, the kind of more conservative values that a Cancer tends to bring, and somebody who's much more what we would call fun, according to how you see life. You know, we all have our own definitions of certain things. But for instance, this is kind of how you get to where you want to go, and this is the King of Wands. So this would be a male who is established, who is a fire sign. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is a very masculine type of an energy, but definitely fiery energy. So this person can, maybe this is an Aries, for instance, or another Leo. This kind of person, it could even be your boss, and somebody who's a supervisor or boss. So that may be an added wrinkle in all of this. But this person has vision in their life, and that is one of the things that Leo respects, is people with vision, people who know what they want, and they have the confidence to go after it. And if you haven't had that, if you've been with somebody who may struggle with self-esteem, have addiction issues, or kind of mental health issues, maybe mood swings or bipolar or something, yeah, that would be kind of like a mood swing or an imbalance, then this person is going to be extremely positive, this King of Wands. And it really instills a lot of confidence in you, this person. You feel like you can count on them. With the Moon, if the Moon is a person, you can't count on them. Sometimes they're unreliable. The pitfalls, the challenge to get where you want to be, the Queen of Swords. Now, you notice I was talking about motherhood and stuff like that. We have the Empress being the Earth Mother, the King of Wands, that could be the father, the Queen, that could be the mother. There could be a person who is standing in the way of you being with the King of Wands. This may be this person's wife, the mother of their child. And she can be somebody who is very cut and dried. She's not emotional. And maybe that's one of the reasons why their relationship is kind of falling apart. And you may have hit it off with this person because you're both fire signs, or if this person isn't like a sun in a fire sign, they still have it in their chart, and it makes them very expressive and just very excited to do things. This Queen of Swords woman is going to be quite detached, and that might be, that, like I said, that might be why they're not clicking. And you may see her as coming in between you and this person. Now, let me say, because I'm acting like the King of Wands is a different person, this may connect to the Moon card in the sense that you don't know everything that's going on. Now, this person, this King of Wands, could possibly be telling you a story about this woman and saying she's cold. All she cares about is her career. She doesn't care about me, and, you know, and that might not be true. However, with the King of Wands individual, I don't really see them as deceptive, especially since I picked it in the upright position. So this may be like a totally different person than who the Moon card represents. What is coming in is represented by the Four of Swords in reverse. So you may have been kind of like laying low, Leo. And it's funny because this makes a lot of sense. Maybe this is even like timing, because the Four of Swords in the upright position is kind of rest and recuperation. And that really goes along with the personal planets, the sun in the 12th house. Whenever the sun is in your 12th house, so that is up until your solar return, you will have a tendency to even feel physically kind of sleepy, not as energetic. You're ruled by the sun. So when the sun transits into your sign, that's even more of an important thing for you. So when the sun is in the 12th house, that really affects you. And as soon as you have your solar return, the sun is now in that first house. And then you start to come alive. So this might be saying, this too shall pass. When you have your birthday, you will see yourself becoming more, take charge, and also feeling better to be able to deal with whatever the situation is. The outcome is the Chariot card. Now this does connect to Cancer. I wanted to let you know about that. But this is a card of victory. This is a card of winning your objectives. It's also, to me, a card of being able to navigate your life with incredible focus that comes about because you decide that you want to make something happen and you don't want any kind of distractions. So an example is when somebody feels that there is a lot going on in their life and they don't know which way to turn. They may feel like their loyalties are divided. That's another thing I wanted to say about the Moon card, that there might be this pull towards somebody. If you're with somebody and they are struggling, you may feel genuine sympathy for that person. You may not feel like you really want to be with them for the rest of your life, but then you feel guilty about thinking like that. So with the Chariot card, it's really, to me, almost like the Queen of Swords, where it's like you being able to make a decision, take action that leads to good results because you marshaled your forces together and you didn't allow yourself to get distracted by conflicting emotions. So I really feel that even though the Three of Wands is not a card of necessarily having to choose between two things. You know, the Two of Wands. When you get a 2, there may be choice involved. The number 3 is a card of expansion, growth, okay? But I still, in my mind, when I look at that image, I see somebody who still needs to make a decision. And I have read, I think in more than one place, that we are supposed to impose our own meanings on cards, not just to the literal interpretation, but that learning how to put your own personal spin on a card is important. And so that's just something that came to me, is that I feel like some of you are at a crossroads and you want to go forward and you want that expansion, but you just don't know how to really navigate that. And I think you're going to find out how. And maybe the eclipses help you, because these can be fated events. That's why I say you have to let go, because there's nothing you can personally do to prevent the change. They're coming in. And you may not feel it. It really does depend on your individual chart, like where it's going to affect you, if there are any planets that are, in a particular house where the eclipse is occurring, and that can add to things. So also in August, you are having a solar eclipse in your sign. So all of these eclipses are kind of concentrated in this July and going into August period, and very good for being change agents. So it actually looks really good. I mean, there may be times where you feel like you are not quite sure who's telling you the truth or something like that, but you come to that on your own. The ability to, and that's true for all of us. And sometimes with eclipses, or even just the regular full moon, things are revealed because now is the time. Now it's meant to be. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this, Leo. And if you'd like a private reading, my website is RainaMoonAstrology.com, and the link is below. Take care. Bye.